hills and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as...
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shortbangers. I'm your host, Matty. I'm joined tonight by Brian. Brian, how are you doing?
Marvellous. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I was enjoying the wee sight of you rubbing your head there.
I actually just took the clippers to it again about 10 minutes ago because I was starting to grow hair. But I want to avoid that second-hand tennis ball look, so I've just taken it clean back.
Do you think you'll ever get the bit grazer and drag that over your scalp?
No, because I'm conscious just now that without having a colour in me, I look like I've only got about 2 or 3 weeks left to live. So.
I'm getting mine's at the second-hand tennis ball stage now, which is a fucking nightmare if you see a dog, because they don't leave you alone.
No.
John, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's episode 27, by the way.
Is it? Nice one.
Yeah, keep you right.
Thanks. That's appreciated. I've not written on the ceiling. Right, Shortbangers. We've got questions from listeners. Arranged them. Some emailed, some text in. I don't think I've got anything from Facebook this week, and then the rest are all on Twitter. Not a huge amount of Hibs content, I've got to be honest with you. But
Thank God.
Oh,
I
no.
hate answering Hibs questions. Ask me something I know about.
The first question comes from John Marshall. He said, the recent Shortbanger show reminded me of those 70s, 80s PG Tips adverts. The chimps always wore ill-fitting clothes, suits way too big, ridiculous ties. We must have been talking about monkeys at some point. So, first question, is this typical of general lousy standards of simian tailoring, or just another example of wider 1970s fashion sense tackiness? So the monkeys with the ill-fitting suits, was that just the style at the time, or did they have shoddy monkey tailors?
I think you were a child of the 70s, were you know, Matty?
Well, just 77.
Have you got any experience of hand-me-down clothing for that era? Have you got older brothers or sisters?
No, but I've got an older sister and a younger sister, and both of them are monkeys. So I've got some experience in this field. None of them are very good at shifting pianos, though. So I don't know, like 70s for fashion. Obviously, I was 3 by the time the 80s started. I was 2 when the 80s started, and then 3 by the end of 1980. So I don't really remember much about 70s fashion.
It's a good question though. Like what drove flares in the 70s and shoulder pads
Ford
in the
Capris.
80s? And... You know what I mean though? Like what is it that drives trends?
Me.
Music and film and Brian.
What, the fucking boy in the striped pajamas there?
You know what I love? I love the old photos of like the 50s where it doesn't matter if there was like 10 kids kicking a ball about in a street. They were all immaculately dressed. And even if like the guy was going to the shops in the morning for the rolls and the bacon, he would have like his finest suit on, the shirt, the tie. Everybody was just immaculately dressed. Nobody was fat. And look at us now.
Aye.
Not us. Obviously.
Well, I didn't know what to say it, but the point's a good one, Brian. And then John says on chimps more generally, not chips. That's because we're talking about fat folk, and now fucking my mind's distracted.
Focus, Matthew, focus.
On chimps more generally, is why they get a good press largely due to their 99% DNA similarity to humans. They are vicious carnivores, whereas gorillas, although bigger, are gentle vegetarians, yet gorillas are cast as the military baddies, while chimps, Cornelius and Zira, are the scientists' goodies in Planet of the Apes. Who exactly is behind the market of chimpanzees?
Gym trainer.
Jim Trainer's got a lot to be to answer for. King Kong probably didn't do the monkey world any favours, did he?
No.
He wasn't a monkey, though. When you say monkey world, are you talking
I'm
about...
talking in the broadest sense. I'm not fucking David Attenborough, John.
No, I know, but you know that there's going to be a David Attenborough Longbanger style listener out there that's going to correct one of you.
It would be fucking brilliant if it was David Attenborough. He was just, stuck for something to listen to on his polar expedition.
The last thing he said before he died was to correct us.
I'll give these boys a chance. There's some penguins and there's a polar bear. It's not King Kong was not a fucking monkey. Sorry, David, if you're listening. I didn't mean to get it wrong. Right, we'll move on. Tom Fearney.
Oh no, hang on. Go back a second. So you said that King Kong gave the monkey world a bad name.
He gave gorillas a bad, because the question was, why are gorillas painted as the bad guy? But they're big, gentle giants, whereas monkeys are vicious wee bastards, but everybody thinks they're dead cute. It's the wrong way around. And he's saying the monkeys have a better press officer than gorillas. And what I was saying badly was that King Kong is largely responsible for the bad shit that gorillas get, because he was a big brute.
I don't think that's true though, because it was the humans that were the cunts in the King Kong movies, because they captured him, they took him to an unfamiliar environment, they backed him into a corner, and he reacted.
But King Kong was he was quite reckless himself, wasn't he? He wasn't like a big gentle giant.
He's a fucking 18-foot ape or something.
Well, there you go. There you go. You should be mindful of that.
The dick.
Fucking smashing about New York, climbing up fucking buildings and that. You can't just dismiss that. That's bad behaviour. Do you know what I mean? There might be reasons for it. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he's not had the education. Maybe he had absent parents. Do you know? It could be all sorts of reasons, but he still fucking did it. Do you know? You can't say, gorillas are all fine when you've got a big, massive one climbing up buildings, swatting planes.
I'm going to give him 1%.
He's no guaranteed he's not got a risk and method statement either.
Nah, behind his jacket, he was up there with the ropes or helmet, and then he's got an actual human in his hand as he's going up there.
It's fine, he's got a hard hat on.
Right, where's his harness? So, whereas chimpanzees moved pianos and made cups of tea. So, there you are. It's all in perception, isn't it?
I think it's just a ruthless propaganda campaign by the chimps and PG tips.
Aye. Okay. Good question. Anyway, that's a nice one to get the ball rolling. Right, Tom Fairney asks, what's the most irrational thing you do? His example is, think about how you do things like you lock the door, then immediately check it, or how you pull on your stomach when you look in the mirror. And for him, experiences in Morocco and Texas, he shakes his jeans every morning to shake out any scorpions, even though he now lives in Edinburgh. So what's the most irrational thing that you do?
I have a tendency, it's rare, but when it happens, how do I put this? I can go to bed 364 days of the year and never worry once about the switches or anything in the house. And then one time it will just occur to me, fuck, if I leave that switch on, I might burn everyone alive. And I'll make sure that I switch stuff off. And I don't know what that is.
Okay. Brian?
I can't think of many things I do that are rational.
What's the most rational thing that you do?
Make sure the setting on the toaster's at 4.
4 is a decent setting for a toaster. I don't have it in between 3 and 4. It's about the right place to have it.
That's probably the most rational thing I do in my life, if I'm being honest.
I apologise to spiders when I kill them. I don't know if that's just because I'm a nice person inherently, that you get rid of a spider in the house. If it's a big one, I'll take it outside in a class because I don't want to touch it. But weird spiders tend to just grab them in a bit of toilet paper or kitchen or whatever and flush them away. And I tend to apologise when that happens because the wee fuckers are just minding their own business, aren't they?
I once gave a funeral to fish that I'd killed. I I stupidly mixed cold water fish with tropical fish in a tank, and they died.
They can't drive tanks.
No, but my missus texted me when I was in the pub and said, I think the fish are on the way out. And I came home fucking steaming, and I mean steaming. And weirded her out by being that drunk. I scooped them all into a Tupperware box that had weighed a base of kitchen roll at the bottom just to make it more comfortable for them. Scooped them all in there. I think that was back in the days when you had LimeWire where you could download music.
Yep.
I downloaded James Blunt, Goodbye My Lover, and then the Tupperware box on my shoulder, and done a solo procession down to the wheelie bin, and that's where that was the resting place.
R.I.P. Fish.
I gave fish a funeral.
Okay, right. Which players would you choose as the perfect example of the following? A roaster, or if he was chocolate, he'd eat himself. So one for each. John?
Stephen Naismith is a roaster.
True story. If he was chocolate, he'd eat himself.
I'm going to say Tony Watt.
Fair dues. Ryan?
Roaster. Ex-player, but I'd say Robbie Savage. And what was it? A player?
If he was chocolate, he'd eat himself.
Hey, Brian Leclerc.
Brian Leclerc, yes.
Cheers, boys.
So a roaster, well, Morelos is the obvious one. And if he was chocolate, he'd eat himself. Flo Canberry.
Yeah.
Take that. Especially if you heard Darren McGregor's interview on the Hibs.pod podcast. He tells some kind of weird stories about Canberry on that. Worth a listen.
I thought it was going to be scandalous, but I'm still going to tune in.
Just was like he would kind of walk past the mirror, one of those guys. Right, Ricky said, would you take a bullet for a Doug? I think that's a fair swap, personally. But
so this is, I think, on the back of a tweet that I saw of his where he said that would he take a bullet for a poxy Doug in response to Lady Gaga's Doug Walker getting shot for 2 out of 3 of her French bulldogs. And I looked at that at the time and I thought I would definitely take a bullet for my Doug, but for someone else's, for Lady Gaga's, no. I like Dougs and I wouldn't like to see them get hurt, but in the interest of self-preservation, fuck them.
right, so it's only your dog then?
Only my dog.
If it was wee Murphy, somebody was about to shoot him, you'd do the slow motion dive. I would do it in slow motion as well, so that it looked like I tried to get in the way of it, but obviously I didn't. So that's the best of both worlds, isn't it? Folks still think you're a hero, but you've not been shot. So that's what I would do. I would make it dramatic, slow motion. Brian, would you do a bodyguard act for a Doug?
No.
Have either of you had dogs?
Like
own dogs, had dogs in the family?
Yeah, but when I was wee, we had a dog. And what happened to that dog is we went on holiday and left it with neighbours, and when it came back, the neighbours had taken it out, lost control of it, and it got knocked down. What I remember
It's heartbreaking.
Well, what I remember of that dog is it used to eat remote controls. And remote controls were still quite new on TVs in those days, so yeah. Never had.
We had a Chihuahua that set the house on fire when I was younger.
Of course you did.
This is honestly no joke. You might think that my life is just a comedy of improbabilities, but we had a family pet, a Chihuahua. Believe it or not, the Chihuahua's name was Samantha. And I mean, first of all, who calls a dog Samantha? And
was it you?
No, I was only 2 at the time. And we had you used to get your fire guards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was like a bit of paper or something that was down for its tray or whatever, I don't know. Anyway, it got paper and basically shoved it managed to squeeze it through the fire guard into the fire and set the house on fire. There you go. True story.
Chihuahuas are renowned for their arson, weren't they?
Aye,
So
they're
you only had
vicious.
yourself to blame, really. You should have thought about
I thought they were renowned for being arseholes.
that. My dad tells a story, I'm sure you'll know me saying it, where he was in the staff room at his work. He used to work at Edinburgh Uni, and he was reading something out of a magazine. There was a word that didn't make any sense, as it was hyphenated over 2 lines. Do you know how sometimes that happens? They'll fit it into 1 line, so they hyphenate it and put the second half at the bottom. He said, "What? Chihuahua? What's that?" It's something with Chihuahua. Oh, aye. So I can't hear the word Chihuahua without thinking of a Chihuahua. But that's a clever guy as well, eh? But no, that day.
No.
Sorry, that kind of listens as well. Right, Mike said, how do you merge safely on a main road from a slip road? If you could answer that and then tell all the motorists that think it's acceptable to indicate and pull out regardless of whether there's a safe gap or not. Mike's a lorry driver. I'm guessing when he sent that, somebody's pulled in front of him.
Aye. And he's probably sent that whilst driving.
Aye.
The
road. Aye. What's the... Brian, you're a newly passed driver, aren't you?
No, my test's been delayed again now till the end of June. So by the time I do my test, my intensive course will have taken place 8 months prior to that. So.
And in the time that you've been driving, have you been able to have a pet hate from other drivers yet?
School kids.
Nice one.
Aye, they're a nightmare behind the wheel.
Aye. No,
Especially when they've got a drink in them.
Aye, or in my boot when they won't shut up. No, that was the only problem I had when a gaggle of them decided it would be fun to run across the road whilst I was pulling into that street. So, yeah, they're little feral little bastards.
And John, I remember you saying you didn't like it when lorries didn't let you in when you're coming off a slip road, so you just pull out in front of them.
Pretty much, I didn't even indicate. I'm there.
I hate folk who can't indicate on a roundabout. I think I've mentioned that on the podcast before. These people deserve, do you know what does it say, special place in hell? That's what will happen. They'll get there and, yeah, they'll get what's coming to them. Right, Alex said, is enough being done to raise awareness that the direct Scottish to English translation for the word fanny boys is vagina testicles? And if an English person called you vagina testicles, would you laugh, correct them, or kick their head in?
You would question it, wouldn't you? Like, vagina testicles. Who the fuck are you talking to, fanny boys?
Aye. Fanny boys works, eh? Like, it shouldn't work, but fanny boys works as an insult. Vagina testicles does not work.
Scots is probably unique for the ability to abuse people in Scots, like country boys as well. Like there's words that we use that are terms of endearment and equally insulting at the same time.
Yeah. Good question. I like that one. Baz said, what's lower, a snake's belly or a Scotch Tory?
Tory.
Oh, Tory.
Easy answer, that one. Portrush
by
Punk.
a fair distance.
One for Shortbangers. Is it ever acceptable to bet against Hibs?
No,
but I am only too aware of friends of mine who do it.
Do you know, you never done it for the reverse jinx? We spoke about the reverse jinx in here before, where, see, I'm a notoriously bad gambler. Like, I don't gamble because I invariably lose. Even the safest of bets, I lose. And so I always have a temptation, particularly in big games, to go against Hibs, thinking that my bad luck will mean Hibs' good luck.
I know what you mean. I just can't bring myself to do it. But I totally understand the justification for it, or at least my mate's justification for it. So it used to be like derbies in particular, he would put money on Hearts to win because that would pay for him to get pissed after. Or if Hibs won and it was fine, he was happy, that was money he was prepared to lose. I couldn't bet against Hibs. I couldn't willfully, because there'd be a part of me, because I'm so tight-fisted, there'd be part of me that would be thinking, like, counting the money afterwards, like, I can spend it on this or I can spend it on that, provided Hibs get beat. I'd never want that, ever.
Well, I used to work beside a guy who was a big Tottenham fan, and he said he used to, if when they played Arsenal, he would back Arsenal. He said, stick 50 quid on Arsenal. And his logic was that it softened the blow if they got beat. But before the game, if somebody said to him, would you, if you spend 50 quid and beat Arsenal, would you do it? And he'd say every time. So it was like good value. So if he lost the money and Spurs won, he'd be happy because he would felt like he'd paid for the win.
What if it's a draw?
Well, then that's the worst, isn't it?
That's a good point.
Aye. Nobody enjoys that.
No.
So what did we say? Is it acceptable? No. We're saying it's
No.
not acceptable to do it, even if you're going for the reverse jinx.
It's not acceptable to back Hibs either because they'll whip you down like they did me on Saturday. Just don't touch Hibs on your coupon.
Aye.
See, now I blame you for having bet on Hibs. It's your fault that Hibs got beat.
This
Just
is
wait
how-
till I start on the games.
why I didn't believe in lucky trousers and things like that, because you're up against everybody else, and it only takes one person, obviously, to break rank, and your good luck charm is ruined by somebody else's negligence.
Yep.
Right. Jamie Montgomery said, when you create merchandise, I hope a great deal of thought's been given to logo, i.e. boxers, longbangers, briefs, shortbangers, and thongs. Quick bang.
We have
Thank me later, he said.
we have talked about merchandise and we are trying to get stuff off the ground, but we kind of need people to. We need an expression of interest in this kind of stuff. Like, what would you want? How much would you pay for it? Can we provide it? Kind of thing.
Aye. I don't know if underwear would be our bag, to be fair, although I quite like the options there, definitely make it sound quite appealing.
I'd like Brian branded adult nappies.
I quite like us to do a range of sausages. That's just because I fucking love sausages. Do you know, like it'd be a good excuse to go. Do you know, when The Apprentice, when they have to go and make something and they get taken away a big kitchen somewhere and they just fuck about until they've got something to make. That's what I think we should do. Get ourselves on The Apprentice to make it look like we're trying to win The Apprentice, but secretly just to hope they've got a sausage making task that we can hijack and release. Longbangers, bangers.
We'd have to make them about, what, 7 inches long to make them bigger than a standard banger.
Well, yeah.
Aye.
At least that.
I want us to get on the same page before we go into research and development.
Aye, for the R&D stage. But aye, you're deep in thought here. You're thinking about what we could be putting our name to.
No, I'm just thinking that I've no one had my dinner, but I'd quite like to eat sausages now.
Aye. Sausages on a roll. It's one of the finest things gone.
Brown sauce, loads of salt, wee bit of pepper.
Lovely.
Do you like just standard pork sausages, or do you like the ones that have got a bit of like pork and apple, or have got a wee bit of flavouring and additional stuff in it?
Most of them, to be fair.
Most of them, but pork and apple, nah, I'm not having that. That's just, why are you putting apple in a sausage? Stop it.
We've tried some of the chicken ones recently by a brand called Heck. John, did I get you all dewy-eyed and all that?
Do you know,
in memory,
have you been getting a bit of Lidl at all?
Nope, Tesco.
No, Tesco. I was just funny you mentioned it because I've been eating some chicken sausages recently, and I wonder if they're the same brand. I've never checked to see the name.
You would see it's plastered, big letters on the front, Heck, and you would definitely have noticed it because you would have had a wee tear.
I think you underestimate how much a greedy bastard I am. They're even cooked. I'm just ripping them apart.
Right, Liam said, if you were Alan McGregor for a day, what would you be angry at and why?
Pork and apple sausages.
Waking up before the alarm.
Aye.
I like waking up before the alarm. I must admit. I woke up before the alarm. I think it was one day last week, and it turned out it was actually 11:15 at night. And the joy that I had at knowing that I still had another sort of 5.5 hours in bed was just unbelievable.
That's magnificent when that happens, when you wake up and it's a long time before you're waking up 15 minutes before your alarm is shite and you resent that, but waking up 3-4 hours before.
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Aye. That's magic. I have wee dreams when my alarm goes off. Is the reasons why I can turn it off. But like we lucid dreams that tell me stories about why it's acceptable not to wake up.
Yeah.
Happens all
How
the time.
many of them? How many of them revolve around falling down the stairs?
No many. No many. I
It's a
remember
means to not go to work.
there was one where I was pitching to Hibs to be an agent. I didn't care what was going on there, but it was an important meeting. It went quite well. There's loads of things like I remember, like it's happened for years. I remember my mum coming in to wake me up, but so I would have been 17 maybe, and I would have slept in for work for McDonald's, which is when I worked there, probably quite hungover. And my mum was shouting at me to get up. And the reason I told her that I didn't need to get up was that there was no chicken nuggets left in the store because Simon Mayo had eaten them all with the breakfast cream. So I remember uttering the words and then sort of coming to enough to think, what the fuck are you saying?
See in your dream about pitching to become an agent, and you were in the Hibs boardroom.
The West Stand bit, do you know where the hospital is? That's what it was.
Oh, right. So was there, in your dream, was there an alarm clock in it? Was it sitting on a table somewhere and you had to get your pitch in before it went off?
No, there wasn't. The dead vivid day, like you should talk about dreams on stuff. Folks think you're a fucking weirdo, but probably too late. That ship sailed a long time since. There was a player, but it was like a world class player that was there, and they needed somebody to represent them, and Hibs wanted somebody to represent them that was sympathetic to the club, and I was negotiating. Fuck knows if. But anyway, because that was going on, I could ignore my alarm. I just kept hitting snooze on it. But every morning that happens, and I
realise this will probably be quite crushing for you coming from me, but you are strange.
Yeah, this is actual factual. Okay, right. Moving swiftly on. Calgacus. How would you pronounce that? Calgacus. Calgacus.
How do you spell it again? Calga.
Cus.
Calgacus. Sounds like a Roman emperor, doesn't it?
Aye. Hibs badge. So Calgacus 1875. So after
the lesser known of the Caesars.
Yeah. What's the one thing you refuse to share? What do you have that you didn't let anybody else have?
No, I don't know.
Boxer shorts.
Things like toothbrushes. I think they're a given. Like you wouldn't be sharing a toothbrush with anybody or that. But
I really didn't like sharing food. Like, see, I don't know if any has ever like made yourself a sandwich or that, and then the wife comes along and eats a bit of it. Like that really annoys me. Make your own.
Aye. Worse when you said you want something, no, and then you get to something and can have a bit. Like, no, because you could add your own one.
The flip side of that, of course, is that the wife made a bit of toast earlier, and I've come in for playing golf, and she's in the living room doing a bit of yoga. I've gone through the kitchen, completely unbeknownst to me that she'd made a bit of toast, but it's been sitting there, and I rationalised it, and I said to myself, I'm going to have your bit of toast. Just ate it. And I have no qualms about that whatsoever, but if she was to eat mine, I'd be furious.
I bet you share things more readily with Murphy than you do the missus.
No, because we're pretty strict. Like, we didn't, like, you wouldn't have a bite of my sandwich. I just wouldn't do that.
No.
But while I was eating the peanut butter on toast that I had, I did get a wee bit out of the jar for him and let him lick it off my finger.
I share. If I have anything that the guinea pig can eat, I'll give him a wee bit out normally.
Aye.
I like to take my Xbox controller. That annoys me. It's mine. They've got their own ones, and they tend to come for mine if their batteries run out. And it's like, well, you charge your own battery. I've charged mine. I can use mine, but I want it.
Bet you've got a Star Wars Xbox controller,
Well, we've spoken about this before. I don't use it though. It's for old Xbox 360. I've just got a normal one that comes with a Series X. Got that.
Share bag. Those share bags of crisps.
Aye.
I wouldn't share them. I'm not being told what to do by anybody.
Stick it to the man.
Yeah.
Right, Kaiser Soze said, how many Hibs-related podcasts is too many? 15.
One.
One's answer everybody shouting out there, anybody that's listening.
Down with them all.
However many were there before us. I think we tipped the balance. Ryan says, see when Alan McGregor goes for a wank, do you think he actually tries to rip the heat off it?
Have you ever seen Dogma?
Yeah.
No.
So is it Alan Rickman plays the angel and he doesn't have a cock?
Yes.
Could that be the source of Alan McGregor's rage? That he wants to rip the heat off it, but he actually doesn't have genitals?
That would explain a lot, wouldn't it? Do you think he goes for it in full bright orange gear with the gloves? Maybe that's why he's angry as well, because that's not going to be a good one, is it? If you've got a big goalie glove on.
Imagine. Do you think that would make you angry if you were horny but you had no way, like no appendage with which to scratch that itch? I mean, that would drive you nuts, wouldn't it? That would make you angry. That would make you Alan McGregor angry. DEFCON 5 angry.
I get by.
Peter Brown says, if attackers attack, strikers strike on goal and defenders defend, why don't midfielders midfield? You see, if you're watching this, you'll see the confused look on everybody's faces here. If you're listening, I apologise because the silence sounds shite.
I have already answered this on Twitter, and I'm always loath to repeat myself.
And
so I don't know.
Your answer was because they patrol the midfield.
I'm sure I've heard of midfielders patrolling the midfield before, and then also went on to say that maybe that's why Hibs got beat at the weekend, because Joe Newell and I can't remember who else I said were too busy looking for the Nazis and the Viet Cong patrolling the midfield.
Ryan? All right.
Ryan looks like he's contemplating life, the universe, and everything.
It's like 15. Peter Brown, if you could choose your own nickname, what would it be?
Dangerous.
Would that go in front of your surname?
Absolutely. Nah, the Lord Party Jets.
I'll go for Darth Cunto, the annoying Sith Lord. Sorry,
that's going in the wash.
Oh, I don't know. I think anyone that's ever given themselves a nickname has usually been a bit of a dick.
Do you know anybody that's done it?
You know what? There's and this, oh, fuck. Probably the angriest I've ever been in my entire life. There's I don't know what the program is. I think it's like some American reality show. Like the fucking Desperate fucking Munters, or The Only Way is fucking Compton, or what. I don't care what it is. But there's a guy that he actually gave himself the nickname The Situation.
Oh, he was on Big Brother.
Oh, it was, I never watched it, but it was Jersey Shore.
I mean,
it was Mike. I'm sure his name was Mike.
It's Mike. It's a Mike. And he I mean, fucking...
That's a bell end, isn't it? Like, you're a bob.
Imagine being his mate and you're phoning up your other mate to try and organise it. Who's out tonight? Oh, fucking Griegsy, Big Jimbo, Dave's out. The Situation might come. Fuck off.
I'm not coming anywhere. If he's there, I'm no. Like the edge for you.
Apparently it came about because he was like, on a beach or something, and I think he'd taken his top off, and he's obviously got like rippling washboard stomach,
Like
and
me.
some other guy had commented, "Oh, we've got a situation here," and on the back of that comment, he's then decided in his head for the rest of my life, I'm going to refer to myself and ask other people to refer to me as the situation. Nah, it's like if I cock something up, which I do regularly, and an innocent bystander or onlooker went, "Oh, I've got a problem here," I'm not going to go, "That's it. From now on, I'm going to call myself the problem," and fucking everybody else will call me the problem.
How many of his
Vagina
mates?
testicles was fucked up again.
How many of his mates do you think went, "I will go along with that"?
Aye, Ken, what? That's aye. We were actually trying to think of a nickname for you for years. We could not come up with one, and then you've just nailed it there and that. Brilliant. The situation. I'm going to change your name in my phone right now to the situation.
How many of them do you think, when talking about him to their other mates, called him the situation or replaced it with something else?
You just, oh, nah, you just so angry.
That's when you need mates to be mates and just tell you, no, just didn't do that.
That's fucking stop it.
We'll call you, hashtag stop it. We'll call you anything else that just didn't do that. You're a prick. Right. The Cal Chalmers, 1875, said Alan McGregor and Alfredo Morelos are both in empty rooms. Who starts the fight first? Or the first fight? It's going to be McGregor.
I think so.
Probably on his own. Morelos would be looking at somebody come near him so he could chuck himself down.
Yeah.
Would just be raging. Mal Bergen, who first ate an oyster and what the fuck were they thinking? Fair question. And you had oysters before?
Nope, don't want to. I'd imagine that would be like what it's like to eat an eyeball.
I've had them before. I don't see the point. I don't think they were that. I was very sick the next day, but I think that was because of the amount of alcohol it had. It was at a work thing in Holland. We'd won an award and we'd gone.
You went all the way to Holland and you got oysters.
Fuck it, right, like I'll tell you the story behind it because they're fucking shambles, right? We got there on the Friday night. It was Thursday night. Can't remember the days that we went. Anyway, right? First day we got there, it was people from all around the world for the company that were meeting up. And the first night was sort of like a reception dinner to get to know these other people with a few kind of champagne reception. Get to the hotel. As I come into the room, there's a bottle of champagne sitting on ice with a few wee treats, right? Some Stroop waffles, etc. So I thought, oh, well, that's good. I'll get tanned into the champagne before we go down. So a couple of glasses of champagne. Go down to where the restaurant is. They've got people standing with trays of drinks. So you take another glass of champagne, but they kept coming with more and more. And then they started bringing down wee trays with nibbles. So I go, I don't want to eat that. I'll not want to spoil my dinner. So drinking, no eating. And then it got to the point where it was kind of quite late in the evening and the stuff that they were bringing around was the dinner. It was a standing meal. Now, who's heard of a fucking standing meal before? Right? Ridiculous. So the reason I had the oysters was because I had had nothing to eat and this was the last thing that came round was a tray with oysters. So I was like, well, I better have something. Had the oysters. I don't really remember what it tasted like. What I remember is probably about, well, when it finished, they'd left bottles of champagne in ice buckets at the door. So obviously, folk being, half Jake by this point, started taking them. I'd like to point out, I never lifted any of them, right? However, I did drink them when they kind of were like, let's take advantage of this champagne. So those bottles went with people up to the bar, which is where we all went. And I remember trying to explain to, fuck knows where they were from, on my phone, how good David Gray's goal was. And such relief, like the whole story behind it. And I was fucking ill the next day, like dreadfully ill. It was horrendous. absolutely horrendous.
They're not anything. They're not something I'll ever eat. You can put mushrooms in that category as well. What's the
I
fucking
like
point?
mushrooms. Like mushrooms.
What is the point in mushrooms? They're tasteless. It'd be like it's like eating an razor. Not having.
I quite like mushrooms. Oysters, I don't know. It must have been necessity. That tends to be the thing with food, eh? Because necessity at some point, somebody thought, well, fuck, who else would better try it?
Aye, but how did they become kind of like pinnacle of cuisine in some quarters?
It's like snails. And I don't understand why people still eat snails. And they cover them in garlic to hide the taste. Just
I think that's the thing
fucking
with
garlic.
oysters as well, is that in my limited experience, and I've had oysters once, the flavouring came from like the lemon and herbs or the garlic or whatever it was served in. It was the novelty factor. That was why I ate the oysters. I wouldn't have them again. I wouldn't serve them at home.
I thought it was just like doing a shot. Just like oomph, tan it down.
Aye, like a shot of your own phlegm.
Aye.
So would anyone like your round of oysters?
Shots. Mike come on the back of that would say, who first watched a chicken lay an egg and then thought, I'll eat that. Same thing. It would be necessity. Snails at one point would have been necessary, but you've got Tesco in that now. There's no need to fucking eat snails. You can just go to the shops and get food. You didn't
Desperation for me is like Aldi's own crisps.
You're not going foraging in your back garden for snails, are you?
Aye, but you live in a different world, Brian, where you've got the Emporium of crisps just across the road for you.
I do. Oh man, it's an absolute smorgasbord of savoury.
They'd have to have soundproof pickpockets or shoplifters in there. Eh? If you try to sneak out with bags of crisps, you'd get fucking rumbled quite quickly, wouldn't you?
Aye. Although it is a bit of a lottery. I champion this guy, and I really do, because he's got a brilliant selection. But there is always one packet in my in the dozen that I procure each time that is out of date, and that really, really annoys me. But I like them that much. I don't take it back and say, the fuck you playing it.
How out of date are they?
Oh, even if it's a day out of date, they're in the bin.
Do you check the dates on these things before you fire into them?
Naturally.
Have you had a bad experience in the past with something that was out of date?
I got pissed. I got pissed once, so pissed quite a lot. And I ordered, what do you call it? Salt and chili chips for the Chinese. I came home, and how you get those bags of cheese, but it's like the mixed cheese.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was feeling quite sort of exotic, and I thought I'll just fucking tip the bag on the salt and chili chips.
Feeling exotic. Wee umbrella for my beer.
I was feeling quite creative, I must admit. So I fucking hossed the bag on the chips, thinking it was like your mature cheddar, your white cheddar, and a nice sort of bluey type cheddar. And it turns out the blue cheddar, when the bag was sold, it wasn't blue. It obviously just festering in the fridge, and I've just thought, this will be nice, I'll try that. And when I was told the next day that was for the bin, I almost vomited.
You did well not to vomit, to be fair, after having that.
I don't know. And I remember I poured milk once when I was much younger. Well, I attempted to pour milk into my cornflakes, and it wasn't milk, was it? Fucking cheese.
When I was a kid, I got a flask to school, sent to school with a flask of milk along with the rest of the lunchbox, and I left the lunchbox in school maybe overnight or over the weekend, I'm not sure. And on the way home the following day with my lunchbox, I thought, oh fuck, I've got milk in there, and I went to drink it. Bad idea. Bad idea.
Yeah.
Horrendous. Do you have the wee brown food recycling bins?
We've got green ones out in Livy,
Right.
and the wife will not have it in the kitchen.
Aye, because if you forget that for a wee while when you open it, it's like I'm pretty sure the one I changed the other day had the cure for COVID in it. Like, I reckon you could have probably taken it and it would have killed most viruses.
La
like,
la la,
yeah,
la la la.
there was like a toxic cloud when I emptied it into the big bin. I'm not even joking.
Like a scene for Backdraft when you open it.
I think it was when I opened it, my first was, oh, for fuck's sake. James goes, oh, what now? I was like, no, nobody's done anything. I've just seen the brown bin. Right, next question. WTC 1981. For Shortbangers, in the same vein as what makes Alan McGregor angry, what is on the list of things Gerrard can't have? He's got a league winners medal, unmelted cheese, 20 million for Morelos. And this is on the back of Gerrard getting sent off at Livingston because Morelos got booked for diving when he didn't necessarily dive.
He can't have a reasonable conversation with SPL referees or SFA referees.
He can't
Incapable.
have a one wiper. Because you see his face and you just know that every shit he does is a tricky one. Brian, anything that you think Gerrard can't have?
A big wanger. But by all accounts, he's got it's like an egg in a nest down there. Allegedly.
I've never heard that, but I shall repeat it as if it was gospel. H18ANT said vegan haggis, should it be a war crime against humanity?
Yes.
So I've never tried vegan haggis. Vegetarian haggis is tasty.
Vegetarian haggis is good. I don't know what the difference between vegetarian and vegan would be.
Thank God you asked
a few letters before any of you smart bastards pick me up on it.
I wasn't going to say anything. So it'll be vegetarian haggis might have dairy or something in it, like or egg or something like a binding agent or something like that, whereas the vegan one would use something different.
Do you know what I think? I think I've maybe had vegan haggis at Henderson's in Edinburgh, and it was all right.
Aye. Okay, and the final question for the night comes again from WTC 1981. Oh, hold on. This is controversial. So can we carry on from last week's cheese on toast conversation? And he's asked Jackson Irvine, who's not replied to him as well, which is probably for the best. What is this, a toasty or a jaffle? And it's Breville cheese and ham toasties. I don't know if that picture looks
They
all
never,
right there,
ever come up.
Nah. It's a cheese and ham toast. What the fuck is a jaffle? I take it that's Australian.
I think it's like, what is it they call flip-flops? Thongs?
What?
And they've got swimmers instead of trunks. Yeah. You boys need to go to Trinent and Dunfermline.
I've got swimmers in my trunks.
The thongs are flip-flops.
Yeah. So what we would call flip-flops, they would call thongs. Aye. And is it? Oh, what else is there? Can't remember.
Trousers. Or is that American?
The best misused Australian word by a country fucking mile, and you'll remember this because you'll have laughed at it when you watched Neighbours when you were wee. Spunk.
Spunk.
Or grog.
That spunk beats grog.
Aye, it does.
Because you remember the first time you heard that when you were watching Neighbours, and you're like, fucking amazing, they've described somebody as a spunk.
And everybody drove a ute.
Yep.
See, some of those things make sense. Like, Aussies just shorten everything. They're not actually, the way that they use the language isn't that far different for Scots. And the thing that I almost get on board with Americans with, you know how they call their pants, what we call trousers, they call their pants.
Yep.
See, when you think about your underpants, it sort of makes sense that they go underneath another set of pants. Overpants, aye. Call them pants, call them overpants. Like, have we got the language wrong? Have Americans simplified it and made it better in some instances?
No.
Never.
Not. Nah. And you can never take seriously a nation that produces an individual that would call themselves the situation.
Nicely rounded up.
Yes. Right. That's us for this evening, guys. Thanks all everybody for sending in your questions. Quick roundup of things. So we've got Quick Bang on Saturday after Hibs play
St Johnson.
Well done, John. Thank you. So that'll be out early Saturday evening. You can watch Shortbangers, Longbangers, Quick Bang on Recast. Please do. If you do that, Hibs benefit from it. They get actual factual money from it. But we'll also be on YouTube and all the podcast players for everybody who's been getting in touch with me to ask whether you can still get us in the normal places. Yes, you can. You can totally choose where you want to consume this. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your questions. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we will see you on Saturday.
Dry county line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no, you know